Okay, this is going to be my take on the JF Kennedy assassination, the truth behind the conspiracy, and I've got a little bit different take on it than just about anybody else. To me, hardly anybody actually believes Oswald acted alone. I don't believe he did. I believe the death shot came from somewhere else, most probably the grassy knoll. I believe there was several assassination teams in Dallas at the time, and who killed Kennedy is not as important as why. Now, I'm going to give you, I'm going to play about 5 minutes of a speech he gave to the press corps. It wasn't released to the public, but it was released to the press, and it was given a couple months before he died, and I believe that this was the final nail in the coffin. I believe there were several reasons to kill Kennedy. These are the four main ones, because if you look at what happened under LBJ, the opposite things happened after LBJ took office. But the main thing was the secret society speech was the final nail in the coffin, and let's give it a listen here.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people, for I have complete confidence and the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors. For as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First Amendment, the only business in America specifically protected by the Constitution, not primarily to amuse and entertain, not to emphasize the trivial and the sentimental, not to simply give the public what it wants, but to inform, to arouse, to reflect, to state our dangers and our opportunities, to indicate our crises and our choices, to lead, mold, educate, and sometimes even anger public opinion. This means greater coverage and analysis of international news, for it is no longer far away and foreign, but close at hand and local. It means greater attention to improved understanding of the news, as well as improved transmission. And it means, finally, that government at all levels must meet its obligation to provide you with the fullest possible information outside the narrowest limits of national security. And so it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be.
Okay, that's enough. So the full speech is around 19 minutes long. If you want to listen to it, I encourage you. He gave it to the press corps. You probably never have heard of it. Like I said, there were several reasons to assassinate him. He wanted to audit the Federal Reserve. They're the people that basically run everything. The military industrial. Eisenhower warned on his farewell speech just a few years earlier, beware the industrial complex. Between them and international bankers, they pretty much run the world along with the secret societies that run over the top of them. And so JFK wanted to audit the Federal Reserve. That was never going to happen, and it didn't under LBJ. He had no escalation plans of Vietnam. He wanted to keep it kind of restricted. LBJ brought it up in an order of magnitude. Not a lot of people know this, but about a year before she died, Lady Bird Johnson sold her part in Halliburton, which was 6%. LBJ went to Washington a millionaire and came back a billionaire. There was another angle to this. Israel was working along with South Africa on a nuclear bomb program. They actually exploded one. You can check all this out. And then under LBJ, there was the don't ask, don't tell policy. And Israel just never, everybody knew that Israel had nuclear bombs, but up until about 2003, they never actually said it. And this secret society speech that I just played you was the final nail in the coffin. That's what got him killed. Like I said, there were several reasons to kill him. And a little something I'd like for you to look at a map of Dealey Plaza. And it has a kind of a weird shape to it. If you went up and then where the railroad tracks are, it looked kind of like this. Now, he was shot right about here. And remember, there was 3 hobos. I want you to look up the 3 hobos. They were called the 3 hobos not because they were dress tackies, because they didn't have any ID, and they were later released. There's also the mystery of the Babushka woman, and lots of witnesses and potential suspects and all kinds of people ended up being dead. And everybody kind of towed the line after that. Remember LBJ, and I want you to check out the USS Liberty and what LBJ did to that, trying to get us into the 6-Day War in Israel. And so, the top of Dealey Plaza looks kind of like something you see virtually every day of your life. The uncapped pyramid on the back of the dollar. Now, is that coincidence? Could be, but they like to throw their little symbols everywhere, like you see all the rock stars doing it now. And I'm going to show you, I would like for you to go, just get on your smartphone and do a search for Antarctic Treaty Conference, and then go into the images, And this thing will pop up here, Antarctic Treaty Conference. Have you ever seen a treaty conference table that looks like that? Treaty conference tables are either all, around so everybody can see, or the most important people are up on a platform, everybody's facing them, or they're squares. They're never a triangle like this, much less an uncapped triangle. When the people that run the world really want to impress upon you, they put these the New World Order symbol, and it's on the back of the dollar bill. You look at it every day. And so the World Order killed Kennedy. Whoever had pulled the trigger, Lee Harvey Oswald was the patsy. He probably shot at him, but I think the death shot came from somewhere else. And it's kind of funny that Jack Ruby just went up and killed Oswald, and he never really got charged or interviewed about it. Anyway, that's all I got. Thanks.